about the regulatory environment and the regulatory restrictions have impacted the activities of the corporates. And now we can see the model. Now before we get into that, let me ask you a question. Do you think the regulations will have an impact on the corporate affairs?
Yes.
Yes? You agree?
Yes.
So you understood the three phases, how it was? Where was it more restricted?
First
phase. More liberalized? In the third phase. And the second phase was in between. Okay? So as you move along the timeline and the changes in the phase, the restrictions from very restricted to more liberalized, we have also seen the Indian corporate models changing, shifting in their approaches. We see there the traditional approach, initial phases, then it's the modern, meaning emerging approach. So when I put as a modern approach, that was applicable to almost all the emerging countries. Emerging countries, you see, mostly the East Asian countries, transitional, Russia and the Eastern Europe countries, and developing countries are the African countries, developed countries are the other, you know that. Yes. So here we have the approaches looking at the rational. So in the focus initially was to lower the costs. Traditional approach, it was lowering the cost, but in the modern approach, it's not that. There we see to obtain new technologies, brands and consumers in foreign countries. Then in the India, it's the global presence, wider synergies and cost efficiency. So this is how we can see. Not cost is quite very important. We know end of the day, our sole objective is, are we adding money to what we have invested? Isn't it? This is a simple thing. So for that, one option is we should minimize the cost. Second option is using the synergies, efficiencies, you will have to enhance your networking, create value through your activities as well. So controlling the cost alone does not help. So here we see in the traditional it was cost control, but later on there you see quite a change. Then moving on to the second one, it's synergy levels drawn from cost controls. Then that's from drawn from low cost commodity players and value added high-end commodity players. So that's what the synergies are through the combinations. Like what is this combination? Synergy from a combination is 1 plus 1 is 2, fine. If you are adding 100 and 100, the result should be 300. How come 300? It's because of the combination of these two will complement the advantages or efficiency which was hitherto not available to the other organization. In that way you can pull up the efficiencies, advantages, beneficially and multiply the end of the value, add value. That is what the synergy here is. Now when we are referring to the low cost commodity players and value added high-end players, what do you mean by that? There are people in marketing, okay? Low-end players, high-end players. What do you mean by that? They are in the low end.
About the manufacturing sector.
Yes?
They come and low-end targets who are entered into the new, they will capture their market.
Okay. And any other view?
Now you use the product more or low-end. Who use the product more or high-end, and who use the product less or low-end.
Okay. Then? Well, now let me tell you, low-end players are those who are in the who doesn't have much interface with the customers, whereas the high-end players are those who have an interface. They are well known to the customers, to the clientele. They have that base, meaning they have the brand identity. whereas the low-end players are known for as low-cost producers, but they might not have the advantage of having a good clientele base, and they are not that strong in the brand identity. So we have that. Where are we fitting? Where is India fitting in with these two? Do we have brand? I mean, are we known very well outside? No. And are we known for as a low-cost producers? Yes. Yeah. We are losing that, but from the manufacturing aspect. But even in IT, because of the huge population, we can still make it. Yeah. So at the time, until now, we were in a way leading, and we were considered as the best, and people were coming, and we have taken it for granted. But now we see other nations also attracting, so we'll have to change the policies. Then I think we can manage with the situation. So coming to the manufacturing sector, Tatas are known, Reliance and other groups, they are known as the low-end players. We have labor costs at control, we have accessibility to the raw materials, and we have our own style of managerial efficiency, strong managerial base. So all this makes us good low-end producers, and people thought, I mean this corporate thought, let us have the synergies by adding a brand value to our products, and let's widen, enhance the clientele, the base. Hence they tried linking up with the branded corporates abroad and enter into the global arena. Let us see what happens. Can you list out some of the corporates which are notably linked with the well-known corporates abroad in automotives? Mahindra Renault, Tata Jogger, well, Land Rover, Wipro, Tata. Okay, so quite many. Okay, so now let us see whether the synergies are drawn in the long term. What's happening? So this was one of the purpose. Is it clear? Low-end players and the high-end players. Yep. Now, moving on to the investment type. This is in the traditional model we see, it was mostly a greenfield or the joint venture. But now we see it as a brownfield investments. Now what is the difference between greenfield and the brownfield? Greenfield is?
Greenfield, I think,
direct investment.
The company is already existed, it's well established product. Where we have to restart newly.
Okay. So you are closer to the answer, but it is in reverse. Because greenfield investment is something where there is organic growth. We are starting from the scratch, okay? And brownfield is hybridization. We are trying to combine and acquire already established. There is no organic growth there, okay? It's already taking up the advantages of already established. So these are the two types of investments that has been identified in the course. Earlier it was greenfield and the joint ventures, but now the emerging model is brownfield. People are synergies. When we are talking about the synergies, that's possible only in the brownfield. So this is what we see here. Then in terms of the destination, it's the developing countries, and destination earlier was developing countries, and now it is developed. Why? Why do you think? What difference would this make the destination point? Why was it preferred earlier as for the? I mean, target group was from the developing countries.
they have high growth rate.
High growth rate. Okay. I mean, why was the target groups chosen only from the developing countries earlier? Why are we now moving towards the developed countries? What made us?
Looking at the demographic of the country and the low cost of production,
Yes.
and the cost of production would come down to the very cheap players. Yeah.
Low investment.
Low investment.
Low investment. because we had restrictions on the output, so it's a low investment.
And even the liberalization was helping the developed countries to look at the developing countries.
Sure. There is, when we are talking about OFDI, there is also IMDI. Yeah, it's two-way thing. Well, now we thought we are fine here. Now let us move on to the next order, isn't it? That is also, we were initially serving at level 2, not unfinished, semi-finished goods production, but now we are in the finished goods. I'm not that good in the value chain. What do you say in products? In marketing? Finished goods? Yeah, okay. So the finished goods. So that's about the product type is also given there. Earlier it was semi-finished goods and now it is finished. And in India now we are involved in both semi-finished as well as finished goods. Now regulatory environment, if you see, it's restricted earlier, liberalized, now it's liberalized. Information and communication flow. I need not tell you about this, isn't it? This revolutionary change now. The success of an organization largely depends upon how quick you are getting the information from the market, how quick you are making use of that. Not only receiving, how quick you are reacting, making use of that is all the difference that it makes between a success and unsuccess. Well, then the focus was earlier short term, but now it is long term. Then the transactions were, the exchange settlements were through the technology services, technology transfers, but now it is different. Technology transfer, shared services, and even, I missed a point there, the cash settlements also. Then, the value chain, only input segment, then in the modern concept, it's the output segment. The focus is majorly on the output segment. So this is before, what's that, before value chain access to resources, producers are sales and distributors. Well, so this is about the model, emerging model, a comparison to the traditional and the model, linking it to the regulatory changes and looking at how the regulatory change could impact the corporate affairs or the position. Then, during the period 2000 to 2007, I mean, acquisition activity was more strong during the period 2004 to 7. So that's the reason the number is given. So now you can see. The important, interesting feature that I found is all the settlements, acquisition settlements was in cash. Is one thing. Majority of the corporations have paid higher premiums to acquire the corporates. The target groups, the investors were, shareholders were at benefit because they ended up in high premium payments. So, what does this two signify? Out of these two, I mean, the way we have settled, the Indian corporate settled the transaction and preferred the premium bid as well, what should we understand by that? Can you infer something? And try to know about what are the features of the corporate could be? A preliminary idea can you frame? Now, just imagine yourself, when are you using credit card and when do you use cash payment?
The financial position of the companies was stronger than the ones whom they have acquired. So that was the reason they opted for cash payment, paying the high premium.
Okay. That means they have seen long-term prosperity.
Prosperity as well as the profits might
Sustainability, very good. Sustainability, yeah. So they have seen the sustainability. Looking at the target group, it's not that all are making profits. There were also corporates known for their brand, but they were also in the financial crunch. So these corporates were also taken by